So today, as I mentioned earlier with kids, today is the Epiphany. The Epiphany is not something I typically preach on. Why? Because it's a church calendar thing, and I don't like preaching church calendar things. I don't like it. But today I'm going to, because I think it's a very important message that we need to go through and we need to talk about. So one of the things that I've always thought was really interesting is we sing these Christmas songs during December, from the beginning in December, all through December. And for those of you that are really crazy, you start in November, and then I even know one person that starts singing Christmas songs in October, and I tell them every time they're around, shush up. We ain't got time for that. It's deer season. It ain't Christmas season. But the fact of the matter is some people really get into Christmas, they really like it, and they really enjoy it. But the fact of the matter is that one of the songs that I always thought was really interesting is the 12 of what? Yeah, the 12 days of Christmas. And we sing about the partridge in the pear tree and all these cool things. And I'm going, man, if you really broke down... Is that how you feel about it? If you really broke down what this dude spends, it's in the millions of dollars of what this guy spends on Christmas. Think about it. Diamonds. He's buying diamonds after the 5th day, every day. And gold. And a partridge, do you know where a partridge is actually at? Where they're commonly found? Besides that. Although that was good, I like it. The Middle East, believe it or not. So imagine what it would cost to ship a living bird 12 times from Iraq with a tree in a cage. It better be a really big cage. We need a bigger boat. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that's one of the songs we sing about the 12 days of Christmas. When in fact, you know when the 12 days of Christmas actually start? Does anybody know? Christmas Day is day 1 of the 12 days of Christmas. Do you know what the last day of Christmas is? The 12th day? It is the Epiphany. Is the last day of Christmas. So usually it's usually the first Sunday in January, unless the first Sunday happens to fall on January 1st, in which case it's the following. But the fact of the matter is, the Epiphany, and why this is important, is it's called the revealing. It's when Christ was revealed. You say, well, that happened on Christmas Day. Right. Day 1 of Christmas. Here's the thing. Epiphany has specifically to do with Gentiles. Ooh, this is some educating happening up in here today. The Gentiles. So what was the Epiphany? It was when the wise men finally found Jesus. So we're going to talk about that story a little bit today. In the time of... we're going to be in Matthew chapter 2, sorry. I could have told you. In the time of King Herod, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, the wise men from the east came to Jerusalem asking, "Where is the child who has been born King of the Jews? For we observed his star is rising, and we have come to pay him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was frightened, and all Jerusalem with him. After calling together all the chief priests and scribes and the people of the day, he inquired of them where the Messiah was to be born. And they told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea. For it has been written by the prophet, 'You, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah, for among you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel.' Then Herod secretly called for the wise men and learned from them the exact day in which the star had appeared. And when he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, 'Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, so that I may also worship him.' When they had heard the king, which they set out there and go ahead of them and went to the star, and they had been seen it rising until it stopped over the place where Jesus was. When they saw that the star had stopped, they were overwhelmed with joy." By the way, I had mentioned the fact that we were going to watch this really cool documentary called the Bethlehem Star that we never actually watched. We should really do that because it's neat. It's a guy that, he was a lawyer, right? He was a lawyer, but he was so fascinated with this idea of the Bethlehem Star that he started studying it. Now it's basically what he does all the time, is he goes around talking about this star. And he described exactly in detail, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's really cool. He described in detail how, in fact, a star could stop and then go the other direction. Now, obviously, we know that the star is, in fact, moving, and we're moving, and everything's moving. But the phenomenon that it talks about is really interesting, and the place where it would have stopped is right over Bethlehem. It's really cool how it works. And he's got a program where you can actually reverse time and see the stars and what they did that night, and boom, what do you know? That star appears. It's really cool. So we need to watch it. Anyway, on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they knelt down and paid him homage. Then, after opening their treasures, they offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which is why we believe that there are 3 wise men, because they brought 3 gifts. There could have been 50 of them. We don't know. But the fact of the matter is we portray the wise men as being 3. We 3, blah, blah, blah. We 3 what? We 3 kings. So the tradition has it that these are 3 dudes that came from the east, probably Persia or Pakistan or somewhere out in one of the stands over that way. And they made it to Jesus whenever that might have been. Again, there's some debate as to when they actually found him. Did they find him days after he was born, or was he 3 years old? We don't know. But what we do know is that they found him. Having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they left for their own country by another way. And the Epiphany begins. So as I talked about with the kids earlier, we have all these great ideas, and I had an epiphany. No, not really. You probably just had a good idea. An epiphany is usually referred to as a holy or spiritual revelation. Has anybody here ever had an epiphany? Sure you have. You could be nodding. Yes, I have, Papa. Yes, I know you have. If you have accepted Christ, He has been revealed to you. Therefore, you have had an epiphany. If you have changed who you are because of Jesus and Him being allowed to change you from the inside out, you have had an epiphany of some sort. You went from who you were to now who He wants you to be, or you're somewhere along that process. Therefore, you have had an epiphany. That being said, the problem that I have with epiphany is we stop after Epiphany. I preached on this, I think it was either the first year or second year I was here, so this is kind of a rehash of an older sermon, but the fact of the matter is almost everybody here is new, so you probably didn't hear it, and if you was here, you don't remember it anyway. So, I want you to think about this for just a second. We get all hyped up about Christmas. Some of you crazy started in October, but you're all about Christmas from fall all the way up until it happens, and then boom! Tree goes down, decorations go away, and nothing gets talked about again until Easter. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. How many times have you gone around to the mall or Walmart or whatever the case during Christmas season? Everybody's all giddy, I got Christmas and birth of Christ and all this stuff, and you see all these posts about you should put Christ back in Christmas instead of Xmas. It's actually Christmas. X means Christ in Greek, people. That's right. X means Christ in Greek. So if it says Merry Xmas, he's actually saying Merry Christmas. It cracks me up. I see Christian people post about it's Christ, not X. No, it's actually X. It's the word key, which means Christ. But we get all excited about Christmas, we're all fired up, we're ready to go, the energy's happening, and all of a sudden we eat, we get fat, and we are happy, and we're chilling out on the couch, and the decorations come down, and we don't talk about Christ anymore. The baby dissolves. It's gone. Manger's put away. Christmas was yesterday's news. In fact, what we're supposed to do starting today is every single day we should be sharing the gospel with people, so that when Easter Sunday gets here, specifically Good Friday, we show the world how it was or why it was that he had to die. And then, of course, on Easter Sunday, we celebrate his resurrection, right? So my question is for you today, as you leave here, are you going to leave Christ here like we usually do? Or are you actually going to take him with you and give a dying world a holy revelation of God that we call an epiphany? You say, but Pastor, now wait a minute. You can't sit there and tell me that we don't go out and we talk about Jesus and so on and so forth. Yeah. I know. So I'm going to make it harder. Is it possible that we could in fact not only tell people about Christ, but change ourselves or allow God to change us so that we in fact reflect Christ? So that way your words are way more powerful, that when you go and you tell somebody about Jesus Christ, they know what you're talking about and they believe you because they see him in you. I think one of the reasons why we fail in celebrating the Epiphany and we fail with sharing the Epiphany with others is because we ourselves do not reflect the Epiphany. It's a revelation. It's God revealing himself to us, yet we do not reflect that revelation. It's time, I think, as a church that we start doing that. And you say, now wait a minute, Pastor, I'm telling you, every day I pray to God and I worship God and I say about God and I talk about God. Okay, great. And if you're reflecting God and you're doing everything God's asked you to do, then I'm not talking to you. But for everybody else that needs to hear this sermon, my challenge to you to not only be the mouthpiece of God, but also be the image bearer of God. Ooh. And here's why. Because if we are truly taking the Epiphany seriously, and we are going through every single day, living our life according to Scripture, not according to the book of second opinions, but the book, the Holy Word of God. If we are living our lives in such a way that we are reflecting God, I think this Easter we'll have a whole lot of people that will have some really cool things that they're going to see. Starting with why they need to be like Jesus. Amen? We're going to close with a song of invitation, give you a minute to chew on that, and then we're going to have communion together.